Today, we are running through everything that you need to know that happened in the stock market this past week. We're going to start out with a heat map of the market. We're going to walk through stock performance, and then we're going to go over the biggest news stories from each day that were market moving. And if you pay attention, could lead to you making some awesome moves in the market in the week ahead. Let's dive right into things with a look at the heat map. Before I get too far into this, though, just want to introduce myself. I'm Wolf Financial. I'm on here with Evan from Stock Market News. And if you're watching this video, make sure that you go ahead and hit like and subscribe to the channel that you are watching on. We're pumping out these regularly, completely free financial analysis content. We hope you enjoy it. Just make sure to subscribe to the video. Let's get into it with a look at the heat map. And boy, the bulls were back in town this week. Evan, what stands out to you?
Exactly what you said there. Those very large green squares. Big tech had a good week. We see Amazon up about 14% right in there. We have Microsoft, Google, Apple, all of them up more than 3-4%. Tesla had a very, very strong week. You can see in there up 8% as well. There was a little bit of weakness in there. You could see this a little bit further in the worst performers from the week. But the defense names had a little bit of weakness, and healthcare had a little bit of weakness in there as well. Wolf, is there anything that I didn't mention that stands out to you?
Yeah, I mean, this is just a crazy week for Amazon. 14%. I think you said it was like their biggest week since near the start of COVID when we were talking this week. And then the chips are moving. Nvidia, 13.73%. AMD, double digit movers here. Is this the year of the chips? We'll find out. And then the one other area that I thought was kind of interesting was this TMO. I think that what's that, thermodynamic, or some of their diagnostics.
Thermo Fisher.
Thermo Fisher, yeah, they're doing some good stuff. And then the one other thing I'll point out, they weren't the greenest. They didn't get the most attention, but energy looking good across the board, plus 2.37 for XOM. I would keep an eye on energy. My favorite name in the sector, VIST, set new all-time highs, or new decade-long highs this week. So pretty cool to see that. Let's get right into how the largest stocks in the market perform. So this is sorted by market cap. Apple, the only remaining $2 trillion market cap up here, did pretty well this week, hanging on to that market cap. Anything that stands out to you from this list?
Well, Apple quickly fell below that $2 trillion market cap last week. It actually closed below it one day, I do believe. We did see pretty much most of these on here on the last graphic, just kind of written out for you. I think the next one is a little bit more interesting, has some new information on it. Coinbase, 50% green week. I did not know Coinbase was up 50% this week.
Yeah, it was a big bounce back in not just coin, but all the crypto names, right? Mara,
Yeah.
Riot, a bunch of them which have been severely beaten down. Bitcoin had gotten as low as, I believe, 12, 13 area, and or maybe it didn't never got to 12, but like 13 area. And now it's back over 20K. In fact, as of recording this video, we can take a look at the exact price, which I believe is over $21,000 per coin. Yeah, okay, so we're sitting at $20,800 per coin. We went over 21,000 on Friday, which was the 13th of January. So we're seeing a move in the coins. We're seeing a move in the miners. Does this mean that people are past some of the uncertainty that happens with FTX? Way too soon to tell. However, we know that names like Coin and other crypto names can move really, really, really quick in a short amount of time. And 50% is not the extent of that. So this is going to be on watch for a lot of people next week. Outside of that, I thought Zillow Group was interesting to see on here. And then I really just want to point out the airlines. I know American Airlines is the only one that's on here, but I was trading Delta this week and others. We actually had the first time since 9/11 that all aircraft in the United States were grounded. This was, I believe, in the morning of Thursday, where there was a problem nationwide with the systems. There was a computer glitch of some sort. They were able to figure it out. Once they figured it out right before market open, I had the feeling that some of those stocks were probably a little shaky from pre-market trading, but that they were going to see that boost. And yes, they did into the end of the week. AAL finishing of the week up 20%. That is an airline. That does not normally happen. So pretty cool to see that, and nice to see Delta running with it. Coming into the worst performing large cap stocks of the week, though, not too many names that I think so many people are always paying attention to and buying and selling. But I know Pfizer was on here. We mentioned that sector was having some interesting times this week. And then Dell, we always see Michael Dell popping into our Twitter spaces. AbbVie, that's a name that really killed it last
Lucky
year. Yeah.
Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman. We saw this on the heat map defense stamps. Definitely also representing on the worst performers this week.
Yeah, and like we were talking about, that was probably due to Kevin McCarthy making a bit of a pact in order to get elected that he was going to cut back on defense spending. And naturally the biggest clients for the US, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, right? So they're taking the hit. Never like to see that if you're one of them. No, don't make the concessions of the money coming to us. All right, what about this? Earnings season is back in town. What are we paying attention to?
Yeah, I'm excited. We maybe are a little bit more on the tech front, so bank earnings. Taiwan Semi will definitely interest us, and I definitely was watching that. But the bank earnings are just kind of the precursor. I'd say BlackRock as well gets a lot of like popular coverage on FinTwit. But yeah, there was a couple earnings. It started Friday. We'll talk about this a little bit later on. It does accelerate next week and the week after. But a lot of really good numbers coming out so far. What did you think, Wolf? I know you commented on Delta that EPS and revenue both beat, but they were down. On my tweet, I did see these forward guide where it was below expectations for next quarter. Probably the reason why. But Ben, did any of these earnings stand out to you this week?
Yeah, so definitely the Delta was the one that paid attention to me the most just because I had a position in Delta that I was trading. Luckily, I sold a third of the position the day beforehand going into earnings. You just never want to carry too much into a binary event. And even though we did beat on EPS as well as revenue, like you said, the bottom range of this forward-looking EPS is what scared people, where if they lowered it to 0.4 versus the consensus 0.6, I think that would have taken the top off a little, but giving an estimate of potentially 0.15, just 15 cents EPS is really what I think scared investors. Beating Delta down about 5-6% in early morning trading on Friday did end up making a little bit of resurgence, but I believe finished towards the lower end at the end of the day. And then it was interesting just seeing some of these banks come in, and as you could see, we've got beat, 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 just a lot of beats across the board. Beat, beat. When it comes to here, beat, couple of misses, two misses. But for the banks, really just a lot of beating across the board. Why would we be surprised? Banks tend to thrive in times of uncertainty with the markets, right? And especially as you have these rising interest rates, they're doing pretty well. More money's coming into the banks because people are saying, hey, maybe cash isn't trash. I could put in, stick it with this bank. The bank's using that to make other investments, loans, etc. So nice to see some of those beats across the board. And then we're just coming into the major headlines. This is the market moving news that you really need to be paying attention to. There's some crazy stories in here. Let's get into it. What stands out to you for Monday?
Yeah. So first of all, this was a theme for this week, a theme for the last year, and definitely a theme going forward. Apple taking products that they are currently not making in house and looking to replace their products and bring it in house. So this story here, it's actually two or three stories throughout here, throughout this week that have that. But this one is with Broadcom and Qualcomm. Apple looking to replace their chips by 2025. I thought that one was really interesting. And the other headline story from Monday was Microsoft is reportedly in talks to invest $10 billion into the owner of ChatGPT, OpenAI. That was a really interesting deal. Wolf, can you actually click into that article quickly?
Yeah, I can. However, I'm only screen sharing the one tab. So let's see. Does it let you see this one?
Yes, I can see it.
Perfect. Okay. Let's take a look at
Yeah,
this.
just the one thing that I really wanted to point out here was the fact that they are going to be getting 75% of their revenue, or at least it's rumored that they would be getting 75% of the revenue until they made their money back.
Not
And then
revenue,
it would go
profit.
down to profit. Yes. Okay. Thank you for correcting that. They would get 75% of the profit until they made their money back. And then it would go down to where their actual ownership is, which would be 49%, right?
Yes.
Yes. So that is pretty interesting. We'll see if that comes out. That's definitely like a Shark Tanky type deal where they're getting the revenue up front or the profit up front and make sure they're getting their money back. But I think that's definitely a story to watch.
Yeah, this is a super interesting one. Just the way that OpenAI has transformed. A lot of people don't
Yeah.
know that Elon Musk actually co-founded OpenAI. Did you know that? You probably did,
Yeah.
right? Elon Musk co-founded OpenAI, I believe back in 2015-16 area. In 2018, he left the company, exiting the board, stating that the direction that they were going did not align with his views and interest. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then, yes, like you said, a very Mr. Wonderful Shark Tank type bet here. Microsoft taking a very low gamble, in my opinion, that allows them to bring in AI and spice up their search engine. Let's make our way through the rest of these. Anything else from Monday?
No, nothing really that stands out to me. A lot of really interesting story. This one around Tilray, that they may use excess cannabis growing capacity for fruits and veggies. Really does kind of show you a sign of the times in the cannabis market. But but yeah, I think that's pretty good for me on Monday.
Yeah, interesting one there. Let's see how the cannabis market projects to form throughout 2023. We just had those first stores open up in New York City, and other areas of the country are looking to open their first stores in the coming months. I know Maryland is going to be in the June, July area. All right, what's going on from Tuesday? Leadoff story: Coinbase up 50% this week, but fires 950 employees. That was announced on Tuesday. So it's becoming a bit of a theme, right? You can go ahead and just can about 20% of your workforce, and then you get the 10% stock bump. Typically, it seems to be how it's working out. We saw it with Salesforce, we saw it with Meta, we saw it with others. Now it's happening for Coinbase. Coinbase CEO, of course, blaming Sam Bankman-Fried for the reason that they had to can part of their workforce, kind of shifted that real nice and sweet. Any thoughts around the story?
Yeah, first of all, one comment. A lot of those stocks that you're seeing on the best performers from the week, worst performers, everything like that, a lot of the reasons they're moving are these news stories that come out through here. So a lot of what we talked about will kind of show itself throughout here. But I just think it's pretty fascinating. I did see later in the week that they're going to be firing and closing down most of their Japanese operations as well. So I'm sure this is a global aspect, and they're going to kind of get in, solidify, and really make sure that they can survive this bear market. But yeah, we'll see on this one. Not too much more for me on this Coinbase story, though. I did think there was a couple other interesting stories on Tuesday, though. One around FTX, though, and Tom Brady, who reportedly owned 1.1 million common stock shares of FTX, which was worth 45 million at its peak. Well, 45 million probably just like 3 months ago at this point, which is kind of crazy. He's going and playing in the playoffs this weekend, but he's down 45 million over the last couple weeks, months. Maybe you can get some of that money back in playoff bonus checks.
It's a good point. We'll see what happens. Couple comments there. 2022 is not the year of Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Not only did he lose money in FTX, his sunglasses company, Christopher Clues, declared bankruptcy. His wife divorced him. His offensive line got decimated in the preseason. So there was, a lot of problems kind of across the board. But 2023, he's in the playoffs. Tom Brady in the playoffs is a dangerous thing. He's legitimately never lost to the Dallas Cowboys in his life. And he's been playing football in the NFL for longer than he hasn't. We're past that point, by the way. Tom Brady has been in the NFL longer than the portion of his life before he wasn't. So we'll see how 2023 goes.
Will be interesting. Maybe it's his bounce back year starting early. But looking at more of these stories, there's a lot of really interesting ones in here. There's Roblox one with Meta. Roblox may be going to Meta's Quest VR headset later this year. And I really want to also quickly shout out to Realty Income, which I know is very popular with all the dividend guys on social media. But it just declared its 631st consecutive monthly dividend. That's about 50 years. I did the math. It might be like 51, 52, something like that. But that is a long time of dividends. You know what? I'm going to make myself not look stupid and quickly do the math.
54.
50. Okay, I was kind of close.
54. It says 54-year operating history. It has declared one, I guess, every single month. Yeah. And increased it 118 times.
52 and a half is about where it is. So it took them a couple months. But yeah, that is pretty interesting. Shout out to Realty Income on that one.
Nice. Ticker symbol O.
Yes.
All right. What else we got going on Wednesday? I know that we have this touch screen Mac story for Apple. They have long debated against bringing it to the world. I actually know that it was a little bit of an interesting decision for me because I was coming over from the Dell XPS when I switched over to MacBook Pro. And the weird thing for me was MacBooks didn't have touchscreens. And I was just so used to having a touchscreen. Having switched over, though, I kind of like not having a touchscreen because there's less fingerprints on my screen and things along those lines. But I think that they're just trying to keep up with the times. It's basically like when Android went ahead and was just like, we're going to make bigger screens on our phones and people are going to love them because they can more easily watch TV. And Apple was like, no, we have this perfect little thing that fits in your pocket. Let's stick with this. And then he gave it a few years and all of a sudden Apple had a much larger screen on their phones. Kind of the way that they're going here with the touchscreen.
Yeah, it kind of fits into Apple. Apple doesn't tend to do things first. They tend to come in a couple years later and try and do it right. So I think this might fit in. Also, that's coming from a biased shareholder. So maybe a little bit beneficial in that direction. I thought there was also a couple other really interesting stories this week. This Tesla one that they're reportedly close to announcing a preliminary deal to set up a factory in Indonesia with a target output of 1 million cars per year. And I would take this a little bit of a grain of salt because we heard 2, 3 weeks ago or so that they were about to announce a Mexico factory, which they didn't. So we'll see when this happens. It sounds like they're close to announcing a factory. Elon even told us that directly that they are close, but they want to be deliberate about it. But we'll see if that one's coming soon. And then Wolf, I know this story at the top here. You have some good color around, but Microsoft is giving all U.S. salaried employees unlimited paid time off.
Yeah, this is an interesting story because when it comes out, of course, the obvious joke that people come out with is, "Oh, you're not getting fired. You're just getting unlimited paid, unlimited time off, right? Not even paid, right? Wasn't even in the headline." And so that's what was coming out. But when you look a little bit deeper into it, it's actually a strategic move by Microsoft in order to satiate their balance sheet, really. And what's going on here is when you have a policy that, let's say, all employees are going to get 2 weeks of paid time off, you actually have to go ahead and pretty much just add that right on to your balance sheet. You have to state, this is the opportunity cost of it. We know exactly how much, and it becomes a line item in there. The thing is, when you switch that to unlimited time off, it can no longer be a line item. There's no way to quantify how much people will end up taking, right? So the general gist of this is people probably are still not going to take more than 2 weeks. If they are taking more than 2 weeks, they're going to get looked into the company and they're going to say, why are you doing that? Right. But there's a very likely chance people are going to take less than or exactly 2 weeks. And by making it unlimited and unquantifiable, you're actually removing it as a line item from that balance sheet. It just saves Microsoft some headaches and room within their actual accounting systems and looks a little bit better for shareholders. But kind of doesn't really change anything that's happening there unless you're one of those rare cases where you actually end up needing to have more time off and it benefits you in that case. But majority of their workers, this isn't changing anything for. It's just a strategic move for the company's finances.
Awesome. I appreciate those insights there. A couple other stories I found really interesting, just quickly. This one around AMD stealing Marvell's CFO, more or less. BlackRock planning to fire about 500 employees globally. Meta rescinding some full-time offers. That's a kind of a theme going on in here with companies firing. I know that's a theme going on in general, but Meta is rescinding some full-time offers that it extended to candidates. And I also think this one down here is pretty interesting. Subway is exploring the possibility of it selling itself in a deal that would value the company at more than $10 billion.
What?
We don't have to go too deep into that one, but Subway going public would be a weird one.
Why does Subway get so much hate? I'm a fan. I like Subway. I don't know
Can
why
I just?
everybody's hating
I
it.
mean, they've refreshed their menu like for the last 10 years. I feel like that says something.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm about it. I'm about that refresh. Subway, it's affordable. It tastes, listen, the way that I get my Subway too is I stack the veggies. So I'm getting the lettuce and the tomatoes and the onions and the pickles and the olives. So the way that I see Subway, I'm basically getting a salad with some bread with it. So it's a more healthy alternative for me than some of these other places, plus pretty cheap. So I'm a fan of Subway. I'd be interested to see if someone else bought them. They also have like every major athlete signed. They have Patrick Mahomes, they have Charles Barkley, they've got a whole bunch more. So they Bill Belichick, right? Like Subway's doing something out here. Bill Belichick's never done an ad besides Subway that I've seen.
Oh, $10 billion is not it's not nothing. I mean, Subway is also the largest, has the most chains out there. I know their revenue per chain isn't as good as some other ones, but they do have a lot of restaurants out there. So we will see how they go forward. I don't know. I selfishly kind of wish they were a public company, so I got to cover them a little bit more. But yeah,
Yep. What else are
our
we looking at? We scrolling down to Thursday?
biggest biggest story on Thursday was CPI coming in line with expectations. As a news guy, I want above or below expectations. In
Say the
line is kind
biggest
of boring.
non-story.
Yeah, the biggest non-story of the week. But we also made a full video, me and Wolf, that we posted, which if you go on the top right, at least on my channel, will be there. A little eye will be there. You can click that and see the video. But that was pretty interesting. I think this Google and Porsche story is also kind of fascinating. that Google and Porsche are in talks to maybe integrate Google software into Porsche's car cockpit. Not for all of Volkswagen, but just for Porsche. But that could be potentially fascinating and something for me and you, Wolf. NVIDIA streaming software now has an option to use AI to make it look like you're keeping eye contact with a camera even when you are not. So I think that's a pretty fascinating story as well.
That'd be helpful for all those that are watching this. Hopefully, you haven't been watching me too closely because I definitely have not been keeping eye contact with the camera.
So hey, maybe we'll use that NVIDIA software a little bit going on. I think the last story here, the last story in this one, eggs, has become a big topic, a big meme. Honestly, something I've noticed when I go and bought eggs in the store. But eggs are up 60% year over year as of December, and that's from that CPI report.
Yep. Eggs are the new gold. Eggs are the new inflation hedge. Eggs are the new wonder of the world. Keep an eye on it.
Wolf,
Kind of reminds me of lumber.
speaking on that inflation hedge, I guess Arizona is really trying hard to keep their 99-cent cans as an inflation hedge. They raised the price of their 20-ounce bottles from 99 cents to $1.25 in the Northeast, so they can keep their cans priced at 99 cents. I think this is a pretty fascinating story, and we'll see how long they can keep it there. They're trying.
Interesting. So has it been raised or is it still 99 cents?
No, it's been raised. I've seen a couple of people that picture there of it going
This
up. Yeah,
picture is a little bit misleading. And listen, I'll take Yahoo Finance's word for it, but there was for a long time, this picture has been going around. And what people have been failing to realize is that it was in Canada. And in Canada, they had raised to $1.25 a little while back. I think that was due to tax reasons. Canada has some different tax stuff. So that's been going on for a while that you've seen $1.25, but they've always been in Canada. So the question is it actually happening in the US? And if it is, and I think it's officially time to give up.
it says
What's
the
the point in
Northeast
trying any
market
longer?
directly. You know what, Wolf? It says the Northeast market. I think I have to go and check.
Listen, they might be right. I guess you got to go out to your local bodega, go check it
You know
out.
what? If you're still watching, we're probably like 20 minutes in at this point. Honestly, if you're still watching, tweet at us, Instagram. Maybe if you're coming from there, message me, and I'll get back to you on if it was actually $1.25 when I went to check. I'm going to check right after this recording. But besides that post, I thought this Nancy Pelosi one was pretty interesting. Some tax loss harvesting vibes, but maybe I'm wrong. She sold Tesla and Disney and a bunch of others in there, and she took some losses, 511K on Tesla. These trades did happen right around December 20th or something, and they were filed this week. But Nancy Pelosi took some else and maybe doing some tax loss harvesting around that.
She's just trying to throw you off the scent. Don't worry, she's still worth 100 mil plus. Don't fall for it. She still uses insider trading for investing.
I also don't know if we're going to be getting too much more info on her trades anymore because she's stepping down. So
Yeah,
I assume
well,
she's still a member of the House.
the House also passed legislation this week that will make it more difficult for regulators to invest House members for insider trading.
Always what you love to see, you know?
Yes, yes. They're putting tax money to good work. All right. What else is going on throughout here? We had some YouTube stuff. I did see that. Janet Yellen talking. Any other stories you want to point out?
Yeah, the debt limit was definitely a conversation. Bed Bath and Beyond having a little bit of a struggle. They might be selling some Bye Bye Baby stores, but overall, I think that is the majority of the major news from this week. I know we are about to record another video that's going to be posted tomorrow that'll help you guys get ready for next week, all the planned events. But I appreciate the video, Wolf. I think if anyone's still here, make sure you like the video. If you're still here, you're obviously a fan of what we do and a fan of the page. So you should be subscribed to our YouTube channels. We're both trying to do some big things, and I appreciate everybody.
Yeah, thanks to all that made it to this end. Check out our next video talking about getting prepared for next week. We're going to run through the economic calendar as well as earnings season being back, hoping for some more bullish activity if you are positioned to the long side like we are. And with that being said, thanks to everybody that tuned into this one. Like Evan said, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, free to subscribe, free to like the video. We're going to keep them coming. We'll talk to you all soon. Hope you enjoyed.